Hey everyone, you got Anderson, one of the co-founders of Quanto, and this has been one of the hardest videos for me to film. The team's been pushing me, but it's supposed to be a day in the life of a founder. And I'm supposed to walk you all through when I wake up, and then when I end up going to bed and all the things in between. But I thought most of you on LinkedIn are following us so that you can just hear the latest AI tips about being an accountant or an accounting firm owner. And so I thought the best way I could show you a day of a life was when we were a bookkeeping firm ourselves back when we started Quanto. So for most of 2024 and even a little bit of 2025, and even to this day, we still have quite a few amazing bookkeeping clients. We're going to show you how my day was when we were just a two-person bookkeeping firm with my co-founder, who was a software engineer who wasn't doing much of the bookkeeping, but helping us with selecting off-the-shelf AI tools. And I was in QuickBooks for most of the day. And so basically the day, I'm going to start off by saying my day is not glamorous. And you'll see why. And so I usually wake up around 6:30 or so. It's my wife's alarm that goes off first, and it basically wakes both of us off. And then I love this ritual I've been doing for the past year of walking to work. And it takes about 45 minutes. It's not ideal, and we're based in Toronto, Canada, and it could be pretty chilly during the winter, but I still walk to work because what I realize, it helps me clear my head, and I purposely don't listen to any music or podcasts. And it's been pretty great. I used to do this ritual where I used to talk to ChatGPT on my walks to work. And so ChatGPT can connect to your email. It helps a lot of our clients actually who are driving to the office or who have to go pick up their kids. You can connect ChatGPT to your email. I was doing it and I realized I was showing up to work a lot more anxious because I was going through my emails on the walk, and I felt I needed to just sit down and get some work done. And so now I just don't listen to anything and just walk to work, get into work, and then I usually just spend the first 5 to 10 minutes gratitude journaling. And so I have one here, I'm at my home, and so I have one here at home, and then I have one at the office, so just so I have no excuse not to gratitude journal. And we've been talking about this as a team. It's a great way to naturally spike your dopamine and serotonin levels, and so it's a good way to start off the day. And then I'll get into emails, something that's been looming on my mind since the start, but I want to force myself not to check them until I get into the office. And then I start on the email. So when we were a bookkeeping firm, this is where we'll go and address a lot of the pressing client issues that might have come through, where there's client inquiries, and I'll try to basically filter through them to know what I should answer right away and what I could push off to later in the afternoon or evening. And so I'll go through all of that and then also look at any Quanto specific things. And here's also where I'll spend some time. I usually find myself a little bit more creative when I have my first cup of coffee in the morning to even do some Quanto outbound sales motion. So when we were a bookkeeping firm, this is us looking for our kind of sweet spot where e-commerce businesses that were selling on Shopify, a few of the construction businesses, and then also a lot of other startups. So we would reach out and just tell them that about our services, send out a few emails, come up with some real cool creatives on Canva to be able to promote ourselves. Then I would try to go to the gym. I try to do it every day, trying to stay consistent and dedicate an hour between around 9 and 10 where I'd try to go to the gym and then come back to the office, do a little bit more emails and work, and then have lunch. Right now, our team is a lot bigger from when we started just as a bookkeeping team. We always try to have lunch together as a team. And so there's a block in my calendar where we have lunch and we talk about what's going on, talk a little bit about work, but we just get to know each other a little bit more based on being able to do it over a meal. Then the afternoon is where, when we were a bookkeeping firm, I'd get into the meat of all the fun that is bookkeeping. And so yes, we're using off-the-shelf tools like ChatGPT, but at the end of the day, things needed to be categorized, things needed to be reconciled, and we're sitting there in QuickBooks doing all that fun work. And then near the end, what was a unique advantage that we did where we used AI was if we were able to close someone's book that day, we would then put all the information, especially with their permission, into ChatGPT, get them some really cool insights, month-over-month trends, cash flow, things that impact their business, and be able to send that across to them in a video type format. So there's a lot of cool ways to do that now. We used to just send a Loom video. Now you can use AI avatars. You can use a lot of cool things. And then for the last chunk of the business, there's always certain things that always come up. Usually having some conversations with our team. At that point, when it was a bookkeeping firm, like I said, it was just me and my co-founder. So we chat about different things and strategies that we would want to have. So this was kind of in the evening spot between kind of 4 and 6 p.m. And then really, I would try to go home to have dinner with my wife. So we try to do dinner every single day as a way to just catch up and debrief of how each other's days are going. And then it goes back to checking those emails and checking the remaining stuff. So each day is quite different. As you all know, as firm owners, you're putting out many different fires. And so we're back and trying to check all that work out, and then trying to head to bed pretty early so I can maintain 8 hours of sleep. But right before I go to bed, I really focus on writing down the 5 things I need to do for the next day. I found that's been really helpful in making sure I get a decent, deep amount of sleep. So I'm able to write down all my thoughts, make sure I know what I'm gonna be doing the next day. And then it's just basically a rinse and repeat. So nothing too fancy there, but what we wanted to do is showcase what a typical day in the life of was when we were growing a bookkeeping firm with over 40 clients with just 2 people. And you got a little bit of nuggets on how we're building our business now as well, if that's interesting for any of y'all. But we're really wanting to look to add more value in different ways. And so I really am interested to hear your feedback. The team's been pushing me for weeks to do this video, and so I've finally done it. So I hope they're happy, and I hope you really got something out of this too. So really excited to keep the conversation going through LinkedIn. Send us a comment, send us a DM, and excited to continue building in this age of AI with you all.